The hardships that I've had to go through by building my company are probably 10 times what a man would have had to gone through because I was a woman. I'm Denise White. I am the founder and CEO of EAG Sports Management. We fill a space that wasn't filled about 20 years ago, and there was a lack of servicing athletes, especially NFL, between agents signing their contracts and all of the other stuff that encompasses an athlete off the field. Like from helping the players on a day-to-day basis to some of the more critical issues with crisis management to helping an athlete build his brand. Our company really fulfills everything except for the player's contract. We represent quite a few athletes. Mike Daniels from the Detroit Lions, Jarvis Landry, Patrick Peterson, Deshaun Jackson. We have Antonio Gates, who's just retired, Donald Penn, LaShawn McCoy, and my baby bear, Tyrann Mathieu from the Chiefs as well. I was representing entertainers prior to NFL players. And on a mere fluke, I picked up a kid, his rookie year. His name was Tony Gonzalez. And he asked me if I could do what I was doing to the entertainers. And I said, well, don't you have somebody that does that for you? And he says, well, I have an agent, but nobody's handling any of this for me. And I said, well, let me try. Let me see if this is something that I like. And I love sports in general. And so I started working with Tony, and what I found was that I really loved the NFL more than I loved anything. I was really fortunate because when I first got into the game, I met a man, Tom Condon, the biggest agent who's represented the biggest names at the quarterback position in football. And unlike most of the agents at the time, Tom took me under his wing where other agents weren't too sure about who I was and what I was doing. And I think felt a little intimidated because I was representing some pretty high-profile athletes. There weren't women doing what I was doing. So the hurdles were, is she actually doing the work, or is she friends with the athlete? Is she trying to date the athlete? It was very difficult for a man to think that I could come in and be successful by representing the athletes that I did. And then when I started representing the larger names, then they wanted to know how I was getting them. Well, she couldn't be just intelligent and smart, right? She had to have a hook. There had to be something. A lot of that stuff, which was very demeaning to me in the sense of I was educated, I'd been a journalist, I'd started building a company. And so when I heard those things, to me, it was just so disrespectful to the work that I had put in that somehow I was in the business not because of trying to build a company or trying to work with athletes, but because it was something personal to me. And it was personal, but on a very different level. Building a company, building a name, building a reputation in the business because of my work, not because I'm female. I'm from Escondido, California, and I was a foster child. Early on, my mother was mentally ill and couldn't take care of me and my twin sister. And unfortunately, we were thrust in the foster care system, and we were separated until we were about 19 years old. I was placed with my grandmother's care, and she was adopted, so it took a while, but we found her. She really actually found us. My grandmother was probably the strongest, most amazing person I've ever met in my entire life. It almost brings tears to my eyes. Back when I was a child, grandparents had no legal rights, and she fought for me. And I think that's where some of my fight and drive comes from, because my grandmother, what she knew to be right, she fought for. And I see a lot of myself now when I'm working with athletes. I see a lot of myself in her, sometimes maybe too much, or I'm really fighting for the athlete, and sometimes you're like, okay, you might need to just tame it down a little bit. But I think she'd be very proud that I made a passion of mine into a career. I think because I came from such a fighter mentality as a child, it's like a thorn in my side when somebody tells me I can't do something. I'm like, tell me I can't, because I'll show you I can. And so for me, it was like, oh, you don't think I can do this? Oh, you have no idea my work ethic and my work drive, because I will outwork you, I will outrun you, I will outsmart you, I will outplay you. And that's just the mentality I come from, because when you have to survive at a young age, you learned how to survive and thrive. And it's been with me ever since. We've been successful, and I just really love what I do.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.